Happy summer PMI. Yes, indeed. Today is the first day of summer. Happened shortly after 10 o'clock this morning, I understand. And welcome, virtual event. Um, by the way, there are lots of ways that you can spend the first day of summer. You could be in a cozy beach chair and comfortable clothing, maybe a little umbrella drink that you have going on there, relaxing. But instead, you chose to listen to me for a while? No, it's not me. It's all about the program, though. And I think we have another program very deserving for your attention. So thank you for choosing to be here. We really do have a good program set up for you. We hope you hang with it there and enjoy it as much as I think you are. And please hang around for networking because we're going to have some interactive fun with more would you rather, some patter between myself and the speaker. And I want to see some more participation in the chat today in our networking session. So please hang around for that, the final 30 minutes here. All righty. But in the meantime, let's go to the thing that we always tend to start with, recognition. Okay, it's not quite recognition time. Let's go with this first. It's did you know? It's the did you know section of the meeting. And I didn't know this. Did you know that there's a LinkedIn just for the PMI Central Indiana chapter? LinkedIn group for that. And I think get your phones out there. I'll leave it up there for another second. I can't pass up a QR code without figuring what it is. So go right in there, get that QR code lined up there, click away, get into LinkedIn, and join that group. I didn't know this. There are benefits out there for chapter members that I have not yet discovered myself. Hopefully, that's a new one for you as well. I did say recognition. I really wanted to spend a little time welcoming our new chapter members. So if your name is up here and you happen to be online, please come on into the chat there. Type in like, "Hi everybody, I'm kind of a new member," and you'll be welcomed with open emojis in all likelihood. And new chapter members, there's something else that you can do to gain recognition, and that is you can get certified. So congratulations also to these newly certified chapter members. And as part of the recognition, I'm going to read your name off very quickly here. So congrats, Drew, Melissa, Gregory, Christopher, Kevin, Angie, Victoria, Allison, Thomas, Travis, Drew again, and Sarah. Congratulations on your certifications. Not only can you gain recognition by achieving these certifications, but also there's a bit of longevity that matters too. Hey, Kevin Burrs, 15 years. You're up at the top of the list here. And also, congrats to others who are having their 10th or 5th anniversary with PMI CIC. We get down to business with some true announcements, reminders of things that are coming up, or things that are live. Sponsor packages. These events can be sponsored by you. There are packages live on our website, pmicic.org. If you're an employer or a hiring manager and you have needs for resources, you can submit a free job listing at that website as well. This is really neat. It's currently free, limited time perhaps. I'm going to be doing this in the next day or two. I think you ought to check it out if you're in need of some resources there. There's a downtown meetup Friday. It's June the 30th. I understand that they buy appetizers for that. It's 5 to 7 p.m. at the garage in Indianapolis. The board of directors meet every first Wednesday of the month. It's not a secret meeting. It's open meeting. You can come in and join that, maybe make a contribution, suggest a topic. Feel free to do that. Don't lose your chapter benefits, you new members. That you signed up for auto renew of your membership. I did that after missing it out for a couple of months. I had some minor problems reacting to that, adverse reactions, so I'm signed up for that, and you should as well. And you can do tonight's survey in under 60 seconds. Yes, 0 to 60 with just a single survey. And so we respect your feedback. We use to be able to plan and tweak these sessions. And so please take advantage of the feedback survey. We thank you. All righty, and now it's time to it's the 35th anniversary. It's time to celebrate some more. I understand that there are more details coming up for something that involves a large cake with an awful lot of candles and big flame and fire guard around that. So be aware that it's a special anniversary and that we're going to have special events along that way. The other thing to note on your calendar, okay, you should have this down already. September 14th and 15th is Pro Dev Day. And you can register today at the very easy and convenient URL. That's easy and convenient to remember, that is prodevday.com. register there. By the way, if you want to volunteer, you can get free or reduced admission. And we're currently seeking volunteers for the sponsorship committee. So there are volunteer openings available, and you get a break on your fee through that. And now it is time for a word from the board members. So, may I now introduce to you the president of the PMI Central Indiana chapter for a word from the board, our president, Gay Lynn Hill. Gay Lynn Hill. Stretch this out enough so that she can turn on the camera and the microphone icons there. Galen. It's not Caitlin. Doot, 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 doot. Oh, what happened? Ah, I
We think
see.
I'm here now.
Huh? Are we good?
Here now.
Things are going smoothly. Hi, Galen.
Hi. Thank you for that. I apologize for the technical snafu that I just had. If I could get you to click to the next slide, that would be completely awesome. Thank you. Sorry. So we have lots of celebrations. Always there's holidays going on. The wonderful Father's Day that just occurred, Juneteenth. We've got some July Independence Day coming up. But really, what we want to talk about today is not only is this chapter celebrating 35 years of being a chartered chapter, but we have also been pre-qualified to be one of the chapter of the years. Now, there's a process that goes involved with this. We do actually have to apply. There are finalists. We won't know if we make it probably until um, later in the year. But I want to thank all of the members because without you, without your survey responses, we wouldn't be able to get to this point. So I really want to take the time to celebrate and to say thank you for being members. Thank you for our volunteers who, without their support, we couldn't bring you all the wonderful things that we try to bring you on a monthly and a yearly basis. So, just a big round of applause for the members and the volunteers so that we can move you from where you are to where you want to be in your professional career. That is our mission. That is why we're here. And so, we, obviously want to take the moment and say thank you. Um, so we will keep you abreast to the process as we go along with it. But I wanted to take the moment to really just let you guys know where that we were pre-qualified, and so we'll keep you uh, attuned to all of the details as we know them. Thank you very much, Rich. Back to you.
Thanks, Galen. Appreciate the word from the board. Always do. Okay, folks, it's now time for this very familiar slide that you see. And you know that what follows this is all the excitement. It's the stuff that made the whole session worthwhile. But we have a little business to do. Remember that PMI members have determined that honesty, responsibility, respect, and fairness are the values that drive ethical conduct for the project management profession. So we set, exercise, and practice those things. Okay, all work presented here tonight is the intellectual property of the presenters, and as such, views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by said presenters throughout the evening belong solely to those presenters, not necessarily those of PMI or PMI CIC. And the unauthorized reproduction, distribution, or copyright work is illegal, punishable under federal law. So don't do that. And now, the reason that you're here. Back in 2009, Joel Bancroft-Connors was one of the most adamant anti-agile PMs in the business. After being laid off from his job, he found himself in a colleague's Scrum Master certification class, because that's what you do if you lose your job. And he was quickly hooked on the power of Agile. Now, Joel is well known as the Gorilla Coach for his ability to tackle the toughest challenges and to address the culture and change management problems that other coaches avoid, often known as the 800-pound gorilla. Joel has 25 years of experience coaching teams, managing projects, companies like BMW, Salesforce, Dell, Symantec, AOL, Costco, and more. His Scrum Master training approach of see one, lead one, do one. Guides trainees in an immersive manner through Scrum rituals so that they will feel confident in their facilitation skills, buoyed by the support of an expert coach. As we looked around for a speaker that could share with us answers to the questions, is Agile real? And if so, how do I fit in? We found no better expert than today's special guest speaker, Joel Bancroft-Connors. Joel, welcome to our PMI.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Central Indiana. Honored to be here. If, so, really thrilled. So yeah, so I am Joel Bancroft-Connors. I'm actually I live in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm not far from where I think Kevin said he was. Native of California. A little bit to go a little deeper on that anti-agilist. We have to get real here. It was 2009. And I was in a PMI networking breakfast, and I quite literally said, "You will pry waterfall from my cold, dead hands." A few months later, I got laid off and was just lost and trying to figure out how to get work in Silicon Valley and not having a lot of success. I had that opportunity to take that Scrum Master class. And at that point, it's like I took it for two and only two reasons. Reason number one was so I could put CSM on my resume, so maybe I'd get more responses back from job applications. Reason number two was to prove that it was a load of garbage. Yeah, I got the letters on my resume. Today, I am a certified Scrum trainer, certified team coach with the Scrum Alliance. I literally teach this stuff for a living now. That said, I've been there from the start of being a project manager and trying to figure out where this is and what it is. And I want to show you a little bit of things that I've learned over the years about this and help you to step more into it. So first thing, we're going to start with a quick question. And so the question is, what do you think Agile is? And Rich is going to bring up a survey here, and we're going to take a look at what people think the answers are before we come back to my slide deck. So, yep, okay, we got people starting to deliver in.
Oh, we got 13%. Now come on to not. I think we shocked people with interaction this early on in the program, Joel.
Okay, well, be warned. I'm going to be looking to all you in chat in a little while to ask some questions. So I do believe very much in interactivity.
Very good. Very good.
All right.
Let's see. We got 24 or 40, 60% participating.
That's good.
Shall we end the voting there? And I think we'll share the results with everybody. You ready for that? Here we go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
All right. So we've got people around project management methodology, software development framework. I'm glad that very few people voted for a way to get more with less people. That can be a cynical approach to it. And if it's done poorly, yeah, that is. And I love the fact that we have a way to deliver value sustainably. Can we kick back over to the slides, Rich? All righty. So the answer to this is a lot of E and a little bit of D. So yes, it is a way to deliver value sustainably. In fact, the definition of Scrum literally is to generate value. However, it is also organizational change. For this to work, this isn't just some process that you layer on. It requires organizations to actually change and make tough decisions and such. And so you've got to recognize that Agile isn't just about slapping a process or software development. It is about changing how your organization thinks for the ability to deliver sustainable value. So let's dive into Scrum itself and kind of help you understand what Agile is through the lens specifically of Scrum. Agile is overall just a mindset. There are 4 values, 12 principles, and it's an overall overarching mindset. I want to look specifically into a framework like Scrum so we can understand what it is. So Scrum is, the official definition is a lightweight framework that helps people, teams, and organizations generate value through adaptive solutions for complex problems. Generate value. There's nothing in here about development. There's nothing in here about processes. It's all about generating value for complex problems. And complex problems are the kinds of projects where you don't know exactly how you're going to get to the goal, or you're not exactly sure what the goal looks like. And in today's environment, a lot of times when we start a project, there's no clear idea of what that end project is going to look like. And so when you don't know how you're going to get there, and the environment might change, the market might change. Sorry, got distracted by the chat. If you don't know how you're going to get there, or you know that you're dealing in a volatile marketplace where things are going to change as you're building and such, Scrum is the kind of framework that can be very helpful in doing that. What I want to do is I want to show you how that works. A lot of people, they learn about Scrum and it's like, okay, well, there's sprint planning or the daily Scrum, or here are the 3 roles. And you learn a lot about that how. Well, how is great if you understand why. Simon Sinek, in his book, Start With Why, says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. I say people don't use Scrum or any process because you tell them how it works, how to do it. They use it because you tell them why it works, why it will change their lives, why it will help. So I'm going to start this with a little story to help you to understand this, and then I'll connect it back into Scrum. I want you all to come back with me 30 years ago. It is 1993. I still live in California in Silicon Valley. I am driving from San Francisco Bay Area to Lake Tahoe. I am on a windy mountain road trying to get to a campground. And I take a wrong turn on that windy mountain road, and it is 20 miles to the next road sign. So the question I have for you all, and feel free to talk and chat, when do I know that I actually took a wrong turn? See some people? Yeah, far later than when you wished, when you got lost. Oh, come on, I'm a guy, I never get lost. So the answer is, yes, when your wife tells you. Thank you, I was waiting for that one. Of course, I would ignore it. 20 years ago also, I hadn't met my wife yet. The answer is 20 miles later, when I get to the road sign. I mean, it's 20 miles, it's starting to get dark. I don't know this. I know that I'm lost. I know that I've taken a wrong turn 20 miles later when I hit that road sign. Now, 20 miles on a windy mountain road around Lake Tahoe, that's an hour's worth of driving. By the time I got to my campground, it was late, it was dark, I was exhausted. I literally just leaned the seat back in my car, fell asleep in my car. I was still young, I was able to bounce back from it. Now, the question is, it's today, it's 2023. I take that same wrong turn. When do I know I took that wrong turn? Yep, as soon as the GPS says recalculating, it's so helpful. Recalculating, you stupid human. At the nearest opportunity, make a U-turn. So today, if I take that same wrong turn, I'm maybe 10 minutes off course. 5 minutes to turn around, find a place to turn around, and then 5 minutes to get back to where I was supposed to take the correct turn. So the idea here is, if you think about it, is I get that feedback. I get more immediate feedback. I'm able to respond more quickly. I'm able to have a better chance of success, less risk. I'm not driving late at night and getting tired. So when we look at this, the idea of Scrum leans right into this. Scrum is built off the concept of empiricism and lean thinking. Lean thinking is it reduces waste and focuses on essentials. That's that. Let's get rid of the gold plating. Let's get rid of the unnecessary processes. And I think all of us as project managers, and I am a card carrying PMP, we've dealt with lots and lots of projects where there was just all this unnecessary stuff. It's like, do we really need to fill out these TPS reports? Empiricism asserts that knowledge comes from experience and making decisions based on what is observed. You all heard of empiricism before. It asserts that knowledge comes from experience and making decisions based on what is observed. That's the scientific method. I have a hypothesis. I'm going to run an experiment. I'm going to see the results of that experiment, and based on that, I'm going to see what I need to do next. It gives us the Thomas Edison quote of, I haven't failed 1,000 times. I've found 1,000 ways that it does not work. So how does Scrum do this? Scrum does this through the 3 pillars. And this is the important thing here. It's what I teach whenever I'm teaching classes is before you care about how to do a good sprint planning or what do you do in backlog refinement, you need to understand the fundamental underlying theory and principle of why Scrum works. And it works on the principle of transparency. So with transparency, the idea here is we need to step beyond the old traditional ways that we used to do projects. What I did back in the 90s and the early 2000s of what we used to lovingly and affectionately call watermelon projects. Green on the outside, red in the middle, because we didn't have transparency into what was really going on. If we can actually get really true transparency into what there is to do and what is done, we are then able to have a clear idea of what our outcomes are. And so when we actually have real-time transparency on what the work there is to do and what work is done, and by the way, work only has 2 states, done and not done. There isn't any of this 80% done for the last 6 months of a 12-month project. Work is either to do or it is done, and that gives us a clear idea of outcomes. When we have that clear transparency of outcomes, we then have the ability to do inspection. And we're really smart people. I mean, project managers have been running this stuff for a long time. If you give us the data, we can look at the data and go, yeah, you're not going to make it once we have the data. And inspection then allows us to generate feedback. And that feedback then allows us to practice adaptation. Hey, we're not going to make it. We know 4 weeks into a 12-month project that we're already off course. What are we going to do about it? And it allows us to press the right button on the technology to update the plan. Or even to change the plan. When I made that wrong turn 20 miles in, I could have maybe sat on the side of the road for a second, pulled out my Thomas's guide, it's pre-GPS, and seen if there was a different campground that I might have wanted to go to that was closer to where I was. So the sooner we know, the sooner we can update our plan or change our plan, which means we increase the probability of success and we drop the risk that we're associating. That is the fundamental underlying principle of why Scrum works and why I've been using it now so passionately for the last 14 years. The whole idea is shrink the cycle. I talk about this in my classes. I do CSM, Certified Scrum Master classes, and I tell them, look, even if you never do anything else that I'm about to teach you, if you can find a way to introduce true transparency and you can shorten your feedback cycles, you're going to have more successful projects. And it all starts with that transparency. How do you create real transparency in the work to do and the work that is done? All right. So hopefully I've kind of given you a little bit of a why Agile, and let's step back into those fundamental principles of this isn't about a framework or a process or whatever. It's about being able to know what's going on, inspect, and adapt. Plan, do, check, act. It's creating that transparency and that feedback loop. So now what I want to do is I want to step into, okay, great. Where do I fit in? This is a thing that was one of the reasons why I said, you'll probably waterfall from my cold dead hands. I didn't see a place for myself as a project manager in Agile or in Scrum. And it is absolutely true. On a Scrum team, there is no project manager, and that's okay. That doesn't mean there is not a place for all of us. So what I want to talk about is, let's first define what is Agile leadership. So Agile leadership is anyone who wants to help teams and organizations grow and deliver sustainable value using Agile and Lean principles. So leadership is just anybody who wants to help organizations grow and deliver sustainable value. Agile leadership is just using it through the lens and framework of Agile and Lean principles and practices, which we now have well over 30 years of empirical data showing that it works. The way that this is expressed today is a tool that's called Agile Coaching Growth Wheel. You can find out a lot more information about this at the agilecoachinggrowthwheel.org website. It is an open source, non-denominational competency framework that's been made by coaches around the world that were looking for a way to professionalize the world of Agile coaching, to start to bring a little bit more structure around it. We've got a lot of wonderful advantages of it. PMI has done a lot to really structure and give us. I'm pausing for a second because I've got an internet unstable. Okay, I'm back. Hey, Rich, am I coming through okay?
You. I have your audio in particular. You froze for a moment, but you're back.
Okay. All right.
You're good.
Um, so the Agile Coaching Growth Wheel, and the idea was to professionalize the world of Agile coaching. PMI has done incredible stuff to help people understand the value and the need for project management. We got 100,000 people out there that call themselves Agile coaches on LinkedIn. Are they really? How do we know that? How do we define that? And so the Agile Coaching Growth Wheel is this initiative, which I really kind of think more about as being how do we create better Agile leaders? I've had the honor and privilege of been working on this with a collection of coaches from around the world for the last 3 years. And I want to quickly introduce you to what it is, and then how can you use this to figure out where you fit in as a project manager. First thing with the Agile Coaching Growth Wheel is it starts with this concept, is this idea that if you don't take care of yourself first, you're not going to be able to help others. If you don't practice self-sustainability, continuous improvement, emotional intelligence, you're not going to be able to help others. The manifesto for the Agile software development talks about this with Principle A, promoting sustainable development, and Principle 12, team reflection, and even Toyota Production System, the lean principles there. Principle 9, grow leaders through understanding the work, live the philosophy, teach it to others. And Principle 14, become a learning organization. These really talk about this. Let's focus on the individual and help them to be better. If you're going to be a leader in your organization, you've got to start with yourself. We then take a look at the growth wheel, and there are 8 competency areas in the growth wheel. We're going to break them into 2 parts because it makes it easier to understand how the wheel works. The top 3 areas are called what we call masteries, or subject matter knowledge. So for me, example, I have a deep mastery of Agile and Lean. I have a great amount of knowledge around the history, how it works, the mindsets behind it, the why behind it. And so that's a deep mastery. I also have a really strong background in transforming. The bottom of the wheel is what we call stances. Stances are the how. How do you go about imparting that knowledge? Let's be honest. I can have all of the Agile knowledge in the world, and if I don't have a way of imparting that knowledge, I'm just an Agile nerd. I'm just an Agile nerd going to conferences and saying, well, no, really, this is the way you're supposed to do it. The stances are how we go about doing it. And those stances are coaching, facilitating, guiding learning, which includes mentoring and teaching, advising, and leading. For a lot of you, if you look at advising, you can superimpose consulting over that if you are an external person. If you're an internal person, it's advising. If it's external, you're a consultant. Next, we needed to recognize that skills, unlike work that is done or not done, skills are not got it or not don't have it. How do we help people to identify competencies and growth in these skills? We leaned on the Dreyfus model of skill acquisition. It's been around since the 1970s. The Dreyfus brothers, I believe they originally wrote this paper for the Air Force, and it was about looking at that concept of 10,000 hours to make an expert. Well, at 9,999 hours, you're not a novice, and then suddenly you're an expert. What's that progression? And the Dreyfus brothers identified that you acquire skills through both formal instruction and practice. And we mapped those to the terms beginner, advanced beginner, practitioner, guide, and catalyst are the five levels. On the right-hand side of this slide, you can see an example specifically from Agile Lean Practitioner, the competency framework and practices. Just one of the skills there, you can see how somebody that's a beginner just needs to describe one Agile approach and outline the historical development of Agile. Whereas if we jump all the way down to practitioner, somebody who's been doing this skill for a long time, quite a while, and is well versed in it, demonstrate how you moved a team to Agile. Apply at least 2 frameworks or methods in multiple situations. So a practitioner wouldn't just be somebody who's just only ever been in Scrum. They need to be able to, well, I've done Scrum and I've done this scaling and maybe I've done this, done Kanban over here. And so as you can see, all of the competency areas have got this competency progression. It helps us to see how we would grow through these competencies. All right. The wheel's really complicated. Good news. you've already got a lot of these skills. It's not starting from scratch. It's here are these skills and competencies that are useful to Agile leadership. You can already superimpose your own skills over them. If we look at Project Management Institute and the definition of a project manager, organized, goal-oriented professionals use passion and creativity and collaboration to design projects that are destined for success. Some of the key attributes that PMI identifies: leadership and effective communication, organizational and time management, creative problem solving and adaptability, motivation and team management. Wow. If we take a look at the Agile Coaching Growth Wheel, leadership and effective communication, advising, align on goals, create environments for success, organization and time management, facilitation, seems a lot, serving the team, motivation and team management. As a project manager, you already have a lot of the skills needed to be a successful leader and to be a successful Agile leader. So how would this work? I want to give you an example that I give in my Certified Scrum Master classes on how this all works. And then we're going to talk about how this actually applies directly into you as project managers. Alrighty. So journey of a Scrum Master, the starting point. As somebody who comes to one of my Certified Scrum Master classes, if they have very little knowledge in Scrum, what I say is, look, to be a successful Scrum Master, you got to start with a little bit of focus. The first thing you're going to do is, when it comes to a mastery, you're just going to focus on the Agile Lean Practitioner mastery, and you're going to focus even more. Just focus on Scrum. Understand Scrum at the team level. Understand the why. Don't worry about scaling. Don't worry about the rest of the stuff out there in Agile. Just focus on Scrum. And at a competency level, you're going to want to focus on it. You're going to want to focus your frameworks and practices kind of to the practitioner level. You need to be really well versed in how Scrum works, the goods, the bads, the anti-patterns to be successful. This is one of the few times in your Agile growth where you don't need, your mindset doesn't need to be as high as your practitioner. Right now, you really just need to focus on those practices and understand why they work. Then for stances. As a starting Scrum Master, a lot of people actually think that a starting Scrum Master needs to have coaching as their number one go-to stance. No, it's not actually. Facilitation is the number one go-to stance for a good Scrum Master, because facilitation is about freeing from difficulty, helping the team to reach its objectives. And so as a Scrum Master, you want to really lean into at least a high advanced beginner in facilitation. And then, like a good restaurant, you want to side order training or teaching. And the idea there is, as a Scrum Master, you're trying to help a team to understand these concepts. You need to be able to do these little micro learnings and help them to understand the reason around, what's the reason around the daily Scrum advising not using the 3 questions anymore that have been used for almost a decade, and moving more towards techniques like walking the board. And so you need to be able to teach those things quickly and easily to the people on your teams. I want to give you an example here of, imagine a project manager becoming a Scrum Master. Now, it's a little bit of an eye chart here, but the blue stickies represent the current state. So imagine we have a project manager, and I kind of looked at the prototypical project manager, or what my skills were when I first got into Scrum, where my skills were. And it's a little hard to read here, and I apologize. I don't know if there's a way for me to. Does that zoom in for everybody else also, Rich? Awesome. Okay. So we're going to zoom in here a little bit so it's easier to read. So as you can see, there are places where a project manager, bandwidth. Okay, I had a bandwidth pause. As you can see, there are places where the project manager actually has skills higher than what you need to be a Scrum Master. A good project manager has already got really strong facilitation skills, so you don't need to worry about that. A good project manager actually probably has already got good mentoring skills, because that's an important part of being a good project manager. The areas where they really need to lean into is that understanding the Scrum framework, understanding the Scrum mindset, maybe developing more about serving the team as opposed to serving the business. You can see where those are the primary areas that a Scrum Master would look into. If we then come over, we can actually see this as a backlog of work. And the idea is, as a project manager moving into becoming a Scrum Master, the first thing a project manager would want to do is they want to really lean into understanding the Scrum frameworks, understand how Scrum works really, really well. Then the next thing would be to get more into the mindset. Once you understand the frameworks, how they work, getting a better understanding of the why, the theory behind it, how does it work with people in the brain sciences. Then I would suggest the next thing a project manager moving into being a Scrum Master would look into is training. How do I get training? Project management, there's not a lot in project management about how doing training. A lot of us have picked it up over the years, but do we have a structured training concept? And then serving the teams, kick your Scrum framework up yet another level, and then you reassess your journey. So this is an example of how people can use the growth wheel to start to map out agile journeys and growth in it. So now what I want to do is answer the question of where you are as a project manager. Should I just become a Scrum Master? When I became a Scrum Master back in 2010, there really was only one thing. If you were a project manager, you were going to be a Scrum Master. Let's tackle this a little bit though and look at the reality of this. So let's start at the beginning. We've got a project manager, the person in overall charge of planning and execution of a particular product, Oxford English Dictionary. Project managers have the responsibility of planning, procurement, and execution of a project in any undertaking that has a defined scope, defined start, and defined finish, regardless of industry. All right, I think we all understand what a project manager is. So in most companies that I have worked with, they have a wonderful solution to this. All project managers are now Scrum Masters. Ta-da! Problem solved, right? Let's move on. Yeah, not so fast. See, I believe there are fundamentally, the majority of project managers fall into one of two buckets. There are project managers that I call the doer. They know all about the business, how the work is done, who the customer is, and likely used to be a doer of the work, hands-on keyboard, engineer, whatever. In my experience, the vast majority of project managers actually fall into the category of doer. Give me a second, I gotta hit do not disturb on my computer. So in my experience, the vast majority of project managers fall into the doer bucket. The next biggest bucket is what I call the facilitator. That's supposed to be a conductor, not a magic wand, no Harry Potter jokes. This project manager always starts meetings on time, ends them on time, and makes them effective when running. They know conflict management. They know who to talk to for almost anything. If they're in the office, they can't walk down the hall without being stopped a half a dozen times to have small conversations. So these are the facilitators. And again, I think there are some other kinds of project managers out there. These are the vast majority of project managers fall into these two buckets. And if you're a doer, you don't want to be a Scrum Master. You're actually probably going to be miserable as a Scrum Master. You're going to make a much better product owner. And product ownership is super important in being in good and successful Scrum and Agile. If you're a facilitator, then you're going to excel as being a Scrum Master. That's what I was. I am not an engineer. I didn't stay on a Holiday Inn Express last night. I didn't play one on TV. I've always been a good facilitator. I was a people person. I'm actually a theater major. That's my background. And so when I started learning Scrum, that's where I naturally gravitated to was you mean I can let go of this command and control? I don't always have to be the person in charge. I can instead sit back and help everyone else to be successful. For me, this was so invigorating because believe it or not, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a superhero because I wanted to save the world. And as a Scrum Master, I got to save the team. I got to create an environment for the team to be successful. Now, there's also another option as a project manager, and that is the idea of what I call Agile Program Management. My very first job after getting my Scrum Master certificate was actually as an Agile Program Manager in a hard drive company working in their branded products group. And my job was to organize the software people, the graphics people, the manufacturer, the electrical people, the mechanical people to create consumer products that we could sell that would sell on shelves like Best Buy. And there I was more in a program management role. There were a lot of different groups all moving in the same direction. And my job was to shorten the feedback loops, improve the communication, and get to the point where we could deliver value faster to the organization. Now, a lot of people get confused about this because we don't see a lot of agile program management out in the job search boards and job boards and all of that. The reason for this is the number one place where we see this job, that they've given it another name. In scaled agile, it's called the safe release train engineer. Essentially, a safe release train engineer is an agile program manager. They're trying to keep many teams all moving in the same direction with tight feedback loops so that they don't derail each other. All right, so we've talked about, as a project manager, you get started, where can you go? You can go, if you're a doer, honestly, you're going to be a lot happier as a product owner. I recommend a book by Bob Galen or Robert Galen called Scrum Product Ownership. In that, he talks about the aspects of being a good product owner. And one of the 4 quadrants of being a good product owner is the skill of being a project manager. What I want to do now is, okay, great. Maybe you did go, maybe you either you're a facilitator and you want to go down the Scrum Master path, or you are a doer that got shoved into a Scrum Master job. Now you want to know, where can you go from here? So I want to talk about, as a Scrum Master, what's the potential career journey? So we're going to come back to this. So first thing is, as a Scrum Master, you can naturally move into product ownership. A good Scrum Master already supports and understands how product owners work, because that's one of the people they support all the time. And you can also move into Agile program management. From here, we start to branch a little bit more. So a Scrum Master can move into being a team coach. So going from working with 1 team or 2 teams to stepping back and helping multiple teams that all have their own Scrum Masters and help those teams to grow and to be better. You can also grow into the product coach role. This one's not well defined out in the industry, but it is an area that is in desperate need of help. There needs to be people who need to understand the art of product ownership, the art of product management, that can help product owners and product managers be better at their jobs. Next, you can continue through. There are people that specialize in training. And then there are people that move from being a team coach to, I'm going to look more at the organization. Agile program managers quite often move into the enterprise coach role. Team coaches move into the enterprise coach role. Enterprise coaches are the ones that literally, they lean into the transformation mastery. They understand organizational change, organizational design. They can help you to remap reporting structures, process flows to help the organization as a whole to become more successful. If we look at, we lay this over with some common certifications. What we can see is, if you're really interested in becoming a product owner, I'm going to use the Scrum Alliance certifications here for the most part, because I am a Scrum Alliance certified team coach. If you want to go into product ownership, Certified Scrum Product Ownership is the place where you start. If you want to move into the product owner path, product coach path, the Certified Scrum Professional Product Owner and eventually Certified Team Coach is a journey path for you. If you want to be an Agile Program Manager, right now, honestly, the best thing out there to teach you how to be a good Agile Program Manager is the Safe Practice Consultant. I have to be a Safe Practice Consultant on top of my other stuff. And if you want to be a team coach, start with the Certified Scrum Professional Scrum Master. And Ken, I'm actually going to respond to that in just a minute, your comment. And then as team coach grows into certified team coach. And then if you move all the way to the end of the progressions, the training, the top end of training in the Agile fields is certified Scrum training. If you're in the Scrum Alliance, there's also Scrum.org has professional Scrum trainer, and also certified enterprise coaches. I don't know, a lot of you may be familiar with the name Lisa Adkins. She wrote a book called Coaching Agile Teams. She's actually a certified enterprise consultant, certified enterprise coach with the Scrum Alliance. Now that said, Ken, don't give up your PMP. Don't give up your PMI ACP either. I am a PMP and a PMI ACP. I was one of the first 500 pilot participants in the PMI ACP program. I still maintain them to this day. I still study the stuff because a couple of reasons. One is, well, okay, I'm going to start with the funny one first. The tests were too darn hard. I'm not giving up my certifications. That said, there's a lot of practicality in it. There's still the whole world still operates and understands the structure of project management and how we work and flow. if you want to change the system, you need to understand how the system works. If we want to help the system to get better, to reduce those feedback loops, introduce more transparency, inspection, and adaptation, we need to understand how it works. We need to understand that history. And the new edition of the PMBOK is very much more aligned with Agile. Jesse Fuel's a mentor of mine. He's one of the people who helped me to become a certified Scrum coach. He was one of the people on the committee that created the new. Wow, I'm just having a problem with talking today. The new PMBOK. And so, don't give up on PMI. It is still relevant. They are inspecting and adapting. I happen to know that the former CEO of the Scrum Alliance, Howard Sublett, spent several months coaching and consulting with PMI because they wanted to figure out how they could get better at doing this stuff. So don't give up on your PMP. Don't give up on your other PMI certifications. They are still relevant and valid in this. I more say build on top of them. I don't list my certifications in my title on LinkedIn. If I did, I'd probably go to about 3 lines. I'm on a continuous learning journey. All right. So this is just, say you want to become a Scrum coach. I want to give a quick example of if we come back a couple of slides, we come to here, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, but say my mouse, you want to go that team coach route. You're a project manager, you become a Scrum Master, you want to become a team coach. What would that look like? So we come back to that Agile Coaching Growth Wheel learning journey document. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And what we do is we have Scrum Master skill to team coach. And so the blue is where you started, and then the green is where do you need to go. And as you can see, there's a lot of places where it's just mostly just pushing out from where you are to become a certified, to become a team coach, not a certified team coach, but just a team coach. You don't need to grow your Agile Lean mindset as much as you need to grow the other things to be able to do that. So as a project manager, you probably already have the deep facilitation skills to be a really effective team coach. Then we go and we start to look at what that looks like with a learning journey, and we go with our backlog. Okay, frameworks and practices. Broaden beyond just Scrum. So you want to move beyond. Scrum. Move beyond just the Scrum focus. Build a deeper Agile Lean mindset. Step fully into the role of servant leadership. And servant leadership can be confusing. I like to say, just think about traditional leadership's a pyramid. The boss is at the top, and the entire organization exists to support the boss. Servant leadership flips the pyramid. The leader's at the bottom, and it's the leader exists to support the organization. And that's kind of that mindset of going from being in charge to enabling everyone else. Can you craft and deliver micro learnings that stick? Step up your facilitation skills to the next level. Do you understand what it means to continuously learn? And then inspect and adapt. Does the backlog still stand? And this is a recommendation of a complete backlog of where you would start to look if you wanted to then move beyond team coach and all the way into certified team coach. I love Ken's comment there. Yes, that they're nothing more than checkboxes. Yes, certifications. The reason that I believe in certifications is if you get the right training from the right people, you gain the knowledge. And again, for me, this is more about the Agile Coaching Growth Wheel. It's about the Agile Coaching Growth Wheel and recognizing what are the competencies that are needed. That's most important. Is if you can get serving the team without ever taking a certification, you can become a guide level in the skills of serving the team, great, do it. Don't worry about it. If you're looking for how to get there certifications can help you to gain the knowledge that you need to get there, especially as you start to move beyond the foundational certifications like Certified Scrum Master, which is a 2-day class. You move into things like Certified Scrum Professional is a long journey to get there. Certified Team Coach took me years to get there because it was about the learning. So yeah, certifications can be just a check mark. It's the learning that you get because you took part in that certification that's important. So Ken, thank you very much for that comment. And that brings me, wow. That brings me to the end of my slide deck. And I think, Rich, I think we got about 10 minutes for questions, right?
And that is perfectly executed, Joel. Absolutely. Joel, that was a lot. That was a lot. I think we're going to have a few questions on going on. I noticed you've been picking up some of Ken's comments at the same time. Good for you. Let's go ahead to Q&A mode here. And I'm going to publish a couple of questions up here. So here's Josh Clark's question. Josh had CSM for several years already. Main question is this: what are your best practices, preferred techniques to show the value of adopting Agile and Scrum? And he's got a couple of follow-up message questions here as well, Joe.
So Josh, on this, it's that start with why. The whole part I talked about, the transparency, inspection, adaptation. I've used that GPS analogy with leaders, and it's like, oh wow, I kind of get it. It's like I ask them, it's like, okay, look, you're going on a road trip. You pull out of your driveway. When do you turn on your GPS? And they'll say, oh well, right away. Okay, great. So you wouldn't turn on your GPS 4 hours into a 6-hour road trip and go, I think I'm almost there. Let me see whether I'm there. No. Why run a project where you go 9 months without actually knowing if you're making progress? Let's put a GPS in. Best way to do GPS: transparency, inspection, adaptation, 2-week sprints. So you start to. I don't try and sell Agile and Scrum. I try and sell solutions to their problems. And the solutions to their problem is lack of predictability, lack of transparency, the fact that they build and it's not the right thing in the first place. Motivating middle management, again, it's there. I really lean into Dan Pink's Autonomy, Mastery, and Purpose from Drive. It's how do we help them to understand the purpose? When we can help middle managers understand their purpose, what they do can help the team to be more successful, which can help the organization to be more successful. Suddenly they can start to see that instead of trying to be in control of everything, if they help these people who are really smart, we hired all these really smart people, how do we help them to be, how do I help them to be successful to create that value? That's what we do. And so we've got to move beyond the reactionary mind and into the, oh, how is this going to help the whole organization, which will help me.
Joe, I've got maybe a follow-up to that as well as we take on additional questions in the chat, guys, and that would be it does seem a little bit complicated with a lot of paths, a lot of different titles of people, and to be able to get into an org, doesn't an organization need to be awfully mature and understand a lot of this to be able to even respect and use and exploit the types of roadmap paths that are possible to us via a number of different certifications?
Yeah, I don't know that mature is the right word, because a lot of times mature companies, a lot of old established companies, we would think of them as mature, and yet those are the ones that are more resistant. I think organizations have to be open to what got them where they are today won't get them where they need to go tomorrow. That's more the mindset. It's like, look, yeah, we've been really successful and the world has changed. How are we going to adapt to that change? So it's not about maturity, it's about recognizing a need for change and what they want to do about that.
Cool. Okay, we've got another question coming in. I'll put this one up on the board. How has your coaching shifted with today's environment of virtual and maybe even working with overseas teams for that matter? Interesting.
So in some ways it's changed a lot. In other ways, I've been supporting remote teams and remote stuff for a huge part of my career. I live on the West Coast, and I've worked with India teams for well over a decade. So some of it hasn't changed. In some ways, the pandemic actually helped because it supercharged tools like Miro. I couldn't do my job without Miro. It supercharged advancements in video conferencing technologies. It used to be it's like a hit or miss of whether anything would work, and now that all of the technologies are really stable and provide great platforms. I wrote an article which is published on Applied Frameworks website about it was a substitution cookbook for an article I wrote on Agile Connections many years ago. I wrote what was the ideal Agile team working space for a physical environment. I wrote a substitution cookbook at Applied Frameworks at the beginning of the pandemic. And the number one thing is, just because you can have a global team doesn't mean you should. Just because no one can come into the office doesn't mean that you shouldn't try and keep them in a co-location concept. And so I introduced the term co-time zone. And after years of study and research, what I have found that an effective team has no more than 2 hours spread of difference. What that means is if you've got a person on the West Coast and you've got a team on the East Coast, that person on the West Coast is not going to be effective with that East Coast team. And you go even farther and it's going to be more. So yeah, I absolutely support remote teams and everything, especially when you've got virtual collaboration tools like Miro and everything. You've got to have a small time difference, no more than 2 hours. And you also have to recognize that every now and then you're going to have to bring them in person, or else they're going to lose their stuff. I was talking with another coach earlier this week, and he was talking about what he's seen as this idea. He's coined it feral teams. They've been operating so remotely and so independently for so long that people have kind of gone feral and they don't know how to interact with each other. And he actually called it, it's like the Facebook effect, where it's become so anonymous that we start to get literally these conflicts over the smallest things because they don't have any connection. You've got to find a way to connect your teams, even if they're remote.
Hey, I've got to talk. It's been behind your shoulder the whole time. The gorilla coach. You got to talk about the 800-pound gorilla, I think. And this question coming up may relate to that as well. An experience where a leader or team member just really shook you and how you responded. In other words, there was an 800-pound gorilla in the room. Give us an example of that.
I got the reputation of being the gorilla coach because I really tackled tough topics. I wrote a blog for a long time about me and the stupid things I did in Silicon Valley before I got into Agile and better ways to do them. I'm having trouble remembering a specific incident, but I can remember times when my heart rate really started firing, and it's like, what exactly happened then? And I think the big thing there is recognizing that it's a tough topic. And the first thing you've got to do is you got to take a deep breath and you got to think about, okay, what's driving them? What's the problem? And the number one thing I learned when tackling a gorilla in the room was to ask questions. And the number one thing I learned is that I got rid of 2 words from my vocabulary when dealing with anybody, with leaderships, teams, whatever. I banished 2 words from my vocabulary. The first word that I banished from my vocabulary was why. Lisa Adkins taught me this one. The only time you ever ask a why question is when you want to see somebody's emotional response. Rich, why did you leave the barn door open? Hey, what's the reason the barn door is open? Is there a reason why we've got it open right now? So you replace, anytime you want to say why, replace it with what or how. That's the first thing. The next question I banished from my vocabulary is but. Because if you say a whole bunch of things, that was a great idea, but all you're saying is, no, that's stupid. So I replaced but with yes and.
I like that's, yep, I've heard of that one.
When a leader says, well, we're just going to, come on, everybody can work individually. They don't need to be talking. They just do what I tell them. Yes, and how are we going to handle integration at the end if no one's talking through all of this? What's our plan there? Do you have a longer window for your integration testing because it's going to take more back and forth then? So you don't say no, you don't say but, you say yes and you don't ever ask why questions, especially to leaders.
That's that's profound. Of course, omitting why from your lexicon means you'll never be able to return as a 3-year-old. So you know, it's just an implication of that. Joel, can you hang around?
I will. I just want to. One thing is, don't ask why as a Scrum Master, as an Agile coach. As a product owner, you need to know why backwards and forward, because that's Simon Sinek. Because as a product owner, you do need to know the emotional state, because that's what you're selling to, is the emotion.
Great. Joel, can you hang with us for a little bit? We're going to give you a little bit of break. Okay, guys, hang with us for networking. We're going to have some survey questions. We're going to look for your participation in the chat. Hang with it. We're going to have more fun. This topic, other topics, weird topics are still coming up. Joe, I want to thank you on behalf of the chapter. And we have something that we provide folks that come on virtually. And that is this wonderful certificate of appreciation. Because
Thank you.
I can't really slide like the coffee mug into the computer, and the internet doesn't work quite as well. Does it? No, truly, thank you very much. Signed by our president, Galen Hill, that you saw a little bit earlier on in the program, for that matter. We really appreciate the work that you've done. It's amazing. Hang around, and we'll have a little bit more chat coming on there. But now we're going to shift to we're going to give you a little bit of a break, Joel, so you can take a sip of whatever it is that you drink. Oh, hi, Joel. Welcome back. Let's bring you back to the forefront here. And gang, it's time. We're going to play a little bit of Would You Rather. We're going to have some survey questions. They're going to be right up here on the screen. And by the way, did I say there's a raffle at the end of this? So hang on. You can win something at the raffle. We'll cut off with enough time to be able to run that. But in the meantime, Joel, let's take a look at some survey questions that have popped up. And we're going to check to see where you stand and where the audience stands on some of these questions. So we'll start with this one here. Would you rather? Oh, looks like they're going to start easy on us, Joe. Would you rather have a fully stocked snack bar or a limitless coffee machine? A fully snack, yeah. Oh,
Probably.
what's he going to say?
Yeah, I would probably go with the fully stocked snack bar, because I am a coffee snob, and I doubt the integrity of the coffee machine.
A coffee snob from Seattle. Imagine that.
Hey, I drink Pete's coffee from the San Francisco Bay Area. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, I bow in your distinguished honor there. I think I've got to go with the limitless coffee machine myself, because if I had a fully stocked snack bar, I'd weigh even 20 more pounds overweight. So I think let's see where our audience is landing here, guys. Okay, with 46% voting, we're going to end the voting and display the results. And do you agree with me, or do you agree with Joel? Looks like it's nearly split here. Okay, 12 people went with the snack bar. That's you. And 9% with the limitless coffee machine here. So not evenly divided. I think when they're evenly divided, it's probably a good question. All right, let's go to question number 2. Let's try this again. All righty, next survey question, gang. I'd like to get you all participating and clicking one of these. Oh, another easy one. It's an edible question. Surf or turf? Joel?
Turf.
You're a turf man? Okay. I'm going to be different rare. Than you again. I'm going to go. I agree with the medium rare. No, I'm more of a surf person myself. I'm unsure what went into that. Curious what the audience is going to pick up here. 47%. It's about the same as before. 22 people voting.
The irony is you're in the middle of the country and you want turf. I'm out on the coast and I want.
No, I'm kind of out of it somehow. Or just not lucky. Okay, we're going to end voting. I'll show the results. There you go. Joel, you win this one. Turf at, let's see here. What's the percentage here? It's a weird percent. 30%, 19%. I don't think the percents are working for me, but 14 people went with turf and 9 people went with the surf. All righty. Let's see if the questions get any professional or any different tone here. So we'll go to question number 3 of Would You Rather. Would you rather? If you ever thinking you're a rich man and you have so much money you don't know what to do, would you rather own a baseball team or a football team? Seattle has both these. So let's see. Would you rather? I had fantasies of this. What's that?
I'm sorry. What's the difference? The football's got the funny shaped one, right?
Oh my goodness.
I am not a sports person. If the Niners or the Giants make it to the playoffs, I'll pay attention. But otherwise, I'm literally not a sports person. So I would probably break the norm, and I'd go buy a soccer team and hire Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah, that's a great. So it's football team, European football, and you'd go with that.
Yeah,
I'm going to be a baseball guy. Let's see where our audience goes. And I did. I had little fantasies sitting in some decent seats one time, looking up in the owner's suite, going, it'll be fun to sit there. I guess you can sit in owner's suites without owning the team, but okay. Wow, this is split exactly 50-50 with baseball baseball and football. Kind of surprised by that. So let's go ahead again. Okay, guys. Hey, let's do another question coming up here. Would you rather? It's number 4. Well, let's go. Let's go retail. Would you rather have AT&T or Verizon?
I have been an AT&T customer since 1994.
4. I gotta scroll down. Okay. Hey, thanks there, Casey, for the scroll. Eight. So it's AT&T. It's no question. Yeah. So for me, I moved. This is funny because we're picking the opposites each time. I moved from AT&T to Verizon. Tower strength near I had to get a booster at my home because the towers were behind my neighbors. So it was an ugly story. Let's see what the audience is saying here. 43% AT&T or Verizon, or if there's somebody else, neither. Go ahead in the chat there. If you're neither, go ahead and who would you pick? Here's sharing the results. I hope you guys can see it now. Let me know if you cannot. But Verizon wins this one, 13-8.
Well, my first cell phone came from the company, and I just kept it ever since. And yeah, when I was in the Bay Area, I had to have a repeater in my house for it to work. But
yes, okay, and I thought it used up an outlet. I was running out of outlets and the like. That was Google Fiber. That's good, nice if you can get it. Okay, Mint Mobile. I have no idea about Mint Mobile, and we get some T-Mobile fans going here as well. All righty, Ken. Let's see if these questions take maybe a little different turn here. Oh, okay. We're going to go more into the professional zone here. Joe, would you rather work for a startup or for a corporation?
My thinking on this has changed recently.
Oh.
I spent most of my career chasing the safety of W-2 employment. And I always thought, well, I want to work for a company nice and stable and security. And I came to the realization, at least at my point in my career, that is an illusion. And so for me, I am a startup of one.
What's an illusion?
Definitely startup.
What's the illusion?
That working for a large corporation provides you safety and security, predictability of your paycheck, your healthcare, and all of that and everything. And what I've learned, at least at my point in my career and where I'm at with everything, it's like, you know what, I could work for a full time for some place as an agile coach, and there's nothing that says that 6 months later I would still have that job.
Joe, on this one, we agree. We agree on this one. Having done the corporate thing for a long time, I think similar to you, and it was like, boy, it would be nice to do things I've not had a chance to do. There's not the opportunities that there are with an entrepreneur. So many degrees of freedom, so many choices to make, and I've turned to that, and having a pretty good go of it. You're enjoying your I think you're very proud of your entrepreneurial bent right now. Correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, at least now I'm in complete control and I understand what it is. I mean, right now, am I doing great? No, I could really use some more students this summer. It's been a slow summer. I'd love some more people in my classes, but at least I'm in control. I can set it and I can make those decisions. Somebody else isn't making the decisions for me.
A lot of our audience here is going the large corporation route. Josh, in the chat there, he got burned on the startup company, and I think that's certainly plausible. Joining a startup company is a different entity than creating your own startup company. Yeah, you agreed. Okay, let's see. Okay, next one that's coming up here, guys. Number 6. Oh, it's an Agile question. And I'm talking to a really great Agile expert here. Would you rather have work done in 2-week sprints or 6-week sprints?
Well, first of all, you can't have 6-week sprints because the Scrum Guide says up to 1 month in duration. But we'll go with that. Absolutely 2-week sprints. I actually think that they are the best balance between getting maximum transparency, inspection, adaptation, and not burning out the teams. Because obviously, maximum would be a 1-week sprint. 2-week sprints, I've worked with those. The one that I'll actually absolutely say is I will never do 3-week sprints because people don't think in odd numbers. But absolutely 2-week sprints. Yeah. No, I worked for a team for 3. Looks like we've got 2 questions up here, by the way.
We may go back to that. Hang with this one, though.
Yeah. I worked with teams and we were on 3-week sprints, and literally every week somebody was going, do we have sprint review this week or next week? Wait a minute, did we have when is sprint planning? we just don't think in well and odd numbers. It also doesn't line up to calendars well and everything. So 2 week sprints is what I literally what I coach. And when people say we can't do it in 2 weeks, my response is, okay, great, then let's do 1 week sprints.
Oh, ouch.
And look, I took a data warehouse team that couldn't deliver anything in less than 9 months. And after 6 weeks of coaching, they were delivering in 2 week sprints and the business was thrilled.
All righty. I think there's another. I'm a 2 week sprint guy myself. I think you make a great case there. I never thought about the 3 week sprint thing, but I don't know anybody who runs 3 week sprints for that matter. We had a backup question here. I don't know why they're both together, but they are. Who's the better project manager, Batman or Spider-Man?
I'm going to say Spider-Man. Batman is not a team player.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, I think Batman. I think Batman's got the organizational mindset, the cerebralness that's necessary. Do you think Spider-Man's a good facilitator?
I think Spider-Man is more of a. Okay, I absolutely agree with what Josh Clark just said. Batman for project manager, Spider-Man for Scrum Master.
Oh, Josh, I totally agree with that. I do. That's great, Josh. Okay, here are the results.
That said, I don't want to be on Batman's project.
Oh, jeez. This question was inspired by your desire to be a superhero that you talked about in one of your introductions. I saw. Which superhero would you want to be, Joel?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be Spider-Man. Nowadays, I want to be Captain America.
You had a natural affinity to Spider-Man going here then too. Then all righty. Good. Let's go. Next one coming up here. Keeping an eye on the clock too. Oh, okay. So this was the same question. I just had it twice. And we'll jump to this question, gang. Okay. Oh, wow. Deep Agile. Joel, have we taken Agile too far or not far enough?
Where's the yes answer?
I don't think that's allowed in Would You Rather.
Yeah, I would have to go. I would have to lean towards not far enough. We have to be very cautious of. We've got to not lose the core principles and the core why as we continue with this. But I mean, look, I see Agile and Scrum working well beyond software. I have taught marketing people. I've taught sales people. I see it work in hardware. I think the best thing ever was Kevin Anderson, who used to be the Agile practice lead at C Prime. He was a math PhD in math, got into project management, then got into Agile. And somebody once said to him, "Look, you wouldn't use Scrum to build a nuclear reactor, would you?" And Kevin answered, "No, I wouldn't use Scrum to build a nuclear reactor. I would use Agile principles and values to build a nuclear reactor, though."
Oh, okay.
And I mean, that's the thing is, I can't see anything that would not benefit from shorter transparency, inspection, adaptation loops. Anything.
You make a strong case there. I worry due to the complexities that we've seen that it may have gone too far. However, I'm in the minority. Our audience here by about a 2-to-1 margin says not far enough. Follow-up question, Joe, that we didn't talk about. I could have asked it earlier. What's next? I mean, where does Edge? So if it's not far enough, where does it go next, or where does the entire field of project management go next?
So for me, I think the next place with Agile is we're starting to get to the point where teams can make and meet commitments, and you can put work in front of them that can do anything. The issue we have now is a mentor of mine, Luke Holman, says it is no longer enough to generate value. We have to generate profit. We need to step and we need to move Agile and we need to move more into the product management, product ownership. In fact, I'm a very big fan of this book, Software Profit Streams by Luke Holman and Jason Tanner. And it's about taking value streams to the next level and connecting to profit and connecting development teams to profit. If a developer doesn't know how their API code is going to help change the company, what's their motivation?
Good question. Provocative points. Thanks for that, Joel. Let's go on to our next question here. And it is, okay. Would you rather have more hours in the day or more money in the bank? Audience, feel free to please participate. Yeah.
Probably more money in the bank, because more hours in the day just means I got to work more.
Oh, I'm, I think I'm an hours in the day, but I'm not sure why. My instinct and my gut feel said, boy, if I can have a few more hours in the day, I can get more done. Interesting choice. Again, we're a little different on this one. Let's see how we compare to the audience. Okay, we got 21 people participating, sharing the results, everybody. Oh, it's money in the bank. Joel, you have quite caught the sense of our audience today. More money in the bank by a 2-to-1 job there. Let's see. From a member of the Dave Thomas School of Agile, there are applications of Agile that don't have anything to do with software development, even though we've had a couple of comments about the manifesto. Joel, is where Agile has gone still? Is it the oh God? What's the question to ask here? Is the Agile manifesto still relevant?
So I was
Or
just
has this
responding
evolved
in there.
to a state which is really
So
different?
yeah,
Oh,
I like to think
go.
of the Agile Manifesto not like unlike the Constitution or the Magna Carta. It was written at a point in time, and you have to look at how would you apply it in today's lens. The big thing I would do is if I were to make able to make any changes, that's what I just typed to Ken, is I would just change the places where it says software, I would change it to product.
Interesting.
And yeah, the book is Software Profit Streams, Kathy. But so that's, Ken, the big thing I would say is I think the Agile Manifesto still absolutely applies. It's just changed software to product, and the principles we now grow. We got to recognize the 17 people who wrote it, they were all brilliant software developers in their own right. They were very focused. They didn't realize what it would grow to become. Just like our founding fathers could have no idea that there would be almost 400 million people in the country and the technology we have today and everything. It's like, okay, recognize it as a point in time. It's part of why I really like the fact that while Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland are not friends per se, they have continued to collaborate on the Scrum Guide, and it has been updated 7 times since it was first published.
Weren't those 17 fun? Weren't they like at a ski resort or something like that?
Yep, they were at Snowbird, Utah, at a ski resort.
Could they have been drinking, Joel?
Oh, I'm sure there was drinking involved.
It's okay, just checking. I've always been amazed by that story there. That origin story for Agile. That's I have a romantic view as to what was actually going on. Okay. Ooh, deep question. Deep. Would you rather improve your work-life balance or your professional expertise?
This one I'm going to probably be controversial. I'm a big fan of a podcast series called Manager Tools, and they kind of talk about work-life balance being an illusion or a myth. And it's like, look, you got to take charge of your own life, your own personality. And you've got to recognize that no one else is going to give it to you. So for me, look, I work 40 hours a week. I have worked 40 hours a week for the last 5-6 years. For me, I want to improve my ability to change the world in the time when I am working. I want to become more effective at the time I'm working. But I don't have a problem with work-life balance. I made that choice a long time ago, and I'm not going to change it.
But do you work only 40 hours a week? I'm to the
So
point. Go ahead.
I guess the answer to that is I work at what I think is a sustainable pace. I work on the West Coast. I usually get up at 6:30 to feed the horses. I'm usually in my desk chair by 8, but at 5 p.m. I'm out. I never work past 5 p.m.
Okay.
I will get up early.
That's kind of a good rule.
Yeah, I will get up
I did
early.
that until I did these PMI things. Yeah.
Yeah, I will get up early, but I will not work late.
Interesting.
And I never work on the weekends.
I'll just give you a hint where I think I stand on this is I would choose one of these and my spouse would choose the other. So that's kind of, I think that's kind of where I am here. Let's see what we say in anything. What means we only have 7 minutes. Okay. Let's take on. We got a few more available. We have about 2 more minutes to go here before we take care of some raffle business that's coming up. Almost raffle time. Classic. Classic project management triangle question. When managing a project, would you rather have the ability to increase the budget or add time? Oh, I love it. Gets a smile from you.
I'm sorry. I have to go absolute no. Adding time is an illusion. The work's gonna expand to fill the available time. You got a deadline. There's a deadline for a reason. Agile actually promotes this. I put a LinkedIn post up about this. It's always date driven, and increasing your budget doesn't do anything. Once you've already started a project, adding resources to an already late project will only make the project later.
Oh,
So this
I've
one,
seen that.
I'll have to say a hard pass on answering this one.
I think I think you have. I think I've seen that. Let's see. Here you go, audience. A lot of people think the key is increasing the budget, being able to add some resources there. Boy, it's tough to get the resources coming up to speed fast, though, from a practical standpoint.
You mean people?
Ability to add time. What's that? Yes.
You mean people?
Yes. Yes. That's right. That's right. All righty. I'm going to keep taking this until we got about 4 minutes left. Let's see if we can sneak in one or two more. Joel, would you rather have a PMP certification or a DASM certification?
I'll admit I don't know as much about DASM as I could. It's grown up since I moved into the Scrum Alliance path.
Okay.
So I don't feel like qualified to provide a professional answer on this one.
Oh, okay. As a non-professional, where would you?
I'd have to go. I'd probably have to go with PMP just because of some of the stuff I know in the backgrounds and everything of the. And for me, I mean, I have a great belief in the Scrum Alliance certifications. I do like the fact that PMI is offering Agile certifications now, because that means there are now two nonprofit organizations that are offering Agile certifications. So it's a tough one to answer, but I think because PMP is becoming more Agile over time, I would stick with the PMP.
Okay, look, this surprised me. Okay, so our audience strong on PMP at this point. I think I would be there too, because the foundational nature, I think, of what that certification brings. Or view the other as a little bit more specialization, perhaps. Let's see. Let's take one more, but as we do that, Galen Hill, if you can please come on to help facilitate our raffle. So we're going to bring our raffle on, and while Galen makes a connection here with us, we'll do this last one. And it is, which is worse, a lack of management support or a lack of team ownership? Joel, Galen, we'll let you play on this one too.
Yeah, management support. Agile fails if the frozen middle or the compressed middle can't support. Agile will fail, and so you can't have team ownership without management support.
Galen, what do you think?
I much agree with that. When there is a lack of support with your management, then the team doesn't seem to find the benefit of doing Agile, because leadership often will derail that. And so they're like, why am I even bothering if they don't care? So
sounds good. And here, everybody, are the results. The majority of people believe also in the lack of management support being the worst of the two poor situations here. Thanks, guys, for playing Would You Rather. Thanks for you guys that are online for putting out here your survey results. Galen, it's now time for the raffle, and I think you'd like our special guest speaker, Joel, to help you out.
I would. So, Joel, if you will please honor us and pick two numbers from 1 to 28, I will then pick our winners.
So I'll go with 3 and 22, because 22 is as close to 42 as I can get with the people we have.
Okay.
And first
3
up.
And 22. So 3 is, I'm going to butcher this name, Ashraf Rampersad. I will throw the name
Ashraf
in
Rampersad.
chat.
I see it. Ashraf Rampersad. Ashraf,
Yes.
congratulations. And that's the Agile Project Manager book, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the
and
Agile Project Manager book. And
ready for our
winner number
second?
2
Yes.
is our very own volunteer, Nikki Schaefer.
Is it Schaefer or Shire?
Oh, it could be Shire. I could have read that wrong. It was a quick look.
Yeah, I was looking at Nikki Shire, I think, wins the coffee mug today.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome.
Schreier, yes. Thank you,
That's
Nikki.
spectacular.
I appreciate that.
And that, folks, takes us properly on time to conclude today's efforts. Remember the survey. Remember that we are taking July off. We'll see you back in August. Kaylin, I get that. Did I get that right?
Yes, we are taking July off. See you August. I
We'll
do
see you
believe
in
it.
August. And Pro Dev is in
September
moving
14th
things.
and 15th.
And thank you. There's the PDU code for tonight. Don't forget the survey. Thanks, magical person. It's Casey behind the scenes. You know, the Wizard of Oz had someone behind the curtain. Casey's right there. Thank you, man, for saving us. Joe Bancroft-Connors, thank you so much. That was mesmerizing, informative. Truly appreciate your expertise and your willingness to share. You can connect with Joe Bancroft-Connors on LinkedIn. Joel, I think we had your it's the Gorilla Coach email, right?
It's actually the gorillatrainer@gmail.com. I'm still trying to get my Gorilla Coach domain fixed after several years of it being inactive.
Okay, so and you're open to take some more emails or questions from people. So
Absolutely.
it's the gorillatrainer.gmail.com.
Yes.
Easy to remember, gang. The Gorilla Trainer. That's pretty good that you got that. Congratulations. Well, thank you very much, Joel. If you can hang on, Galen as well, I'll say so long to everybody else, and then we're going to have a retrospective on this event, begin to process your survey results, and plan the next event when we have it, which is likely. See you guys in August, if not before. All righty. Goodbye, everyone.
Good night.
Casey, if you can close